Hey, hi everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Weekends with Champions. Today we have a very young and a promising programmer from India. He has already won the IOI 2020 silver medal from India, and he has already traversed a lot of an incredible journey at a very young age. And we're going to talk about that and his big plans for the future. We have Udit Sanghi here with us. Welcome to the session, Udit. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine.
Excellent. We would love to know a lot of things about you, about your coding journey, about your techniques, about your plans, and how you do what you do. But first, we would love to know something about your childhood, your family, and how growing up in your hometown was.
Yeah, I my childhood, I basically just played sports all day, mainly cricket.
Right.
I lived in a campus environment, so my family is mostly from an academic background, so
Uh,
that's that's pretty much it.
that's excellent. So you were a fan of cricket when you were a child. Who was your favorite
Yes,
cricketer at that time?
uh, it changes continuously, that's that's not fixed.
Did you ever want to take cricket seriously?
Yeah, I did till about sixth grade.
Oh, that's incredible. Then he just might as well have been a cricketer if not a programmer.
I was not that good.
Okay. You started coding at an incredibly young age, Udit. A lot of people don't do that. Uh, you started coding at grade six, I believe, or what you were like
Yeah,
11
so
or 12
I
years old.
at the end of six, but mainly I started in eighth.
That's still young. How did that happen? How did you get introduced to coding at such a young age? Because
So
yeah,
I was at my father's friend's house. So I was
right,
playing some video game, I think, and so he came up to me he came up to me and told me that how games are made and like what work they do. They are involved with some games.
right,
Uh, so he told me about programming.
right. So you had an interest in games as well, like most
Yeah.
coders do.
Yes.
So, would it be correct to say that you wanted to know how the mechanism works behind such incredible games? You wanted to
Yeah.
get more into the making of it, and that's how you got interested.
Yeah, but I no longer want to do that much. I'm like the algorithms and all. I prefer that. So,
Right. So, was this okay, Udit? I would also need you to be a bit louder, if possible.
yeah,
Uh,
sure.
oh, yeah, cool. You mentioned this friend of yours who introduced you to coding, who introduced you about the, while you were playing games. Was this Akash Bugna's
No,
brother?
no, no, no.
Was that a
That
different story?
while I was playing games, that was my father's friend. So,
Right.
who introduced me to competitive programming? Yeah, that's Akshay Bhupna's brother.
Akshat Bugna, I'm sorry. Yeah. All right. Uh, so at first you found coding boring, if I'm not mistaken.
I did not find it boring. I got bored of it because I learned JavaScript on Khan Academy, learned some basic loops, functions, and all that. Then it wasn't much challenging, so I did not continue doing it. I mean, at first I did find it interesting what
Right.
things you can make a computer do, but it
Right.
quickly
Right. Right.
got boring.
And then how did the perception change? I mean, how did you finally get
So
into coding? Yeah.
I like maths, and I found problems that I couldn't do interesting always. So in eighth, when I tried competitive programming, obviously I couldn't do problems. That that was interesting.
Okay. So you always had an inclination towards mathematics. So do you think that
Yes,
helped you? That helped you in the long run?
yes, yes. The problem solving. Um, I mean, from maths, the problem solving ability improves. So
Right. And do you think it is a little difficult for people who do not have strong ground on mathematics?
yes,
Uh,
it's a bit difficult, but I wouldn't say impossible. So I mean, there are people who don't like maths at all and still do well,
right, right, right.
but
So
it's
there is
slightly more difficult.
right, but there are no hard and fast rules that you have to be
Yes.
really good at maths to be good at CP.
Mhm.
Right. So how did you get associated with CodeChef? You have been a volunteer yourself. Tell us about that right from the beginning. How did you get introduced to CodeChef? How was your experience volunteering with CodeChef?
So CodeChef, the first website I mean first workshop I went to, and that was an introduction to competitive programming workshop. So they gave us problems from in CodeChef to solve, and that's how I got introduced to CodeChef. And I became a volunteer during 2018, if I'm
Right,
not wrong, or 17, something like that. So first, we started an ICO prep thing. We set questions and tested them and all that. The people who are preparing for IOI themselves, and
right,
that's how I became a volunteer.
right. So how long did it take you to become a volunteer from the time you were first introduced to CodeChef? When was what year would it be when you were introduced, when you were solving problems on CodeChef at first?
Uh, 2016.
16, and in a couple of
Yes.
years you became one of the volunteers.
Yes.
Right. So, I was a little more curious about how the feeling has been to be part of such a large community, helping out this whole entire tribe of programmers. You being at at a very important space, being at CodeChef, the hub of programmers. So, how was it like? What was the kind of work that you had to do as a volunteer?
No, I mean, I haven't done that much volunteering. I've just set a few contests in that thing, ISO prep thing, and taken a workshop.
Hmm.
Yeah. And also in the DSA learning series, I was part of that. So I've not done that much.
Right. Okay, and in your experience as a volunteer, do you think it helped you as a coder or as a competitive programmer?
Mm, Not very much, I think. I mean, a little bit maybe, but
Okay, it was more of a service to others than yourself, I guess.
yes.
Okay, let's talk about something that everyone wants to know about your IOI journey. You came to know about the existence of IOI in 2016, if I'm not wrong,
Yes.
and you went ahead to win a silver medal in 2020. So, what happened in these 4 years? How did this amazing transformation happen?
Just did competitive programming, and just practiced and improved. So
Right. Okay. Okay. You make it sound very easy, very simple, but I'm sure it's not the case. A lot of people are trying to understand what goes on in Udit Sanghi's mind and how did he, uh, achieve this amazing feat. So we would love to hear more details about, these 4 years. What was your game plan? How did you practice? What was your, a day in Udit Sanghi's life like?
it varied a lot, but it was mostly just, for example, picking a source and solving questions from that, or maybe solving questions that my friends had solved, stalking them, or
Right.
something like that.
Right. So, did you have any mentors who was helping you out? Who were
No,
not really. So it was you just on your
I
own
mean
and with.
the community is really helpful. So you can ask questions to various people. They mostly reply as in proper questions. It's
Right.
a solution to some problem or something like that.
Okay. So when you say the community, do you mean this CodeChef community or other online communities as well?
Yeah, CodeChef, code forces, and messaging people on various platforms.
Okay. So your preparation was mainly dependent uh, on the experience and the facts that you were gathering from asking people questions, friends, and community. Not so much from any mentors or your college or school or anywhere. So that's more of an independent way of
Yes.
preparing for it. So would you recommend others to
Yeah,
prepare
so
in that?
yeah, if you can find some good friends that you can discuss problems with each other, that would be nice. Like they can ask you problems and you can ask them. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So tell us about your IOI experience last year. I'm sure the preparation happened much before, and you had from the zonal competitions to the international platform. What was the journey like?
As last year.
Like 2020.
So I didn't have to give the first aid since I qualified for CAP before. Then INOI is fairly easy, so I
Right,
qualified that. Then the main change happened before because of the pandemic. So I was fully involved in JE, but due to the pandemic, what happened is so we got a 1 or 2 week break from coaching, and in that I did a lot of competitive programming.
right,
So because of that, my interest ignited again, and even when the coaching restarted in online mode, I used to do competitive programming. And
right,
um, and before 1 month before the team selection test, I
mhm,
asked my coaching teachers that I could take a break from
right,
JE and fully focus on for IOI, and they were fully supportive.
right,
And so yeah, I did a completely did CP during those times, and as well as after making it to the team till IOI.
right,
And IOI was online, so it wasn't that good experience as I had hoped, because
right,
obviously it was my dream to go to an offline IOI, but it's all
right.
right. At least I got to go, unlike other Olympiad folks in India.
Mhm. So you asked your coaches to, allow you a break from the preparation of JEE.
Yes.
How did they respond to it? How did your family respond to it?
Yep. Both were really supportive, as in my teachers are very nice. So
Right,
they asked me that what's my end goal, as in
right,
what colleges would I prefer, and say if I couldn't get into a foreign university, would I be okay with something like triple ITH instead of IT if I'm going to quit JEE, and questions like that. So they really wanted what was best for me, and so they allowed.
excellent. So yeah, that it just shows that you were, guided well, and there were no, hindrances from your coaching team or your family when it came to competitive programming, because in a general point of view, JEE seems like the more prospective option than CP, but it's not the case. If I'm not wrong, if you
I
as we can
mean,
see in your
I had
case,
to
yeah.
convince my parents also, but I could convince them.
Right. Did it take hard work to convince them, or was it easy? Because they are academicians
Also,
themselves, so they would know.
it took much effort to convince them for that 1 month I had asked for
Yeah.
1 month for JEE, but after IOI happened, I decided to quit JEE, and there it took a bit of effort to convince that I want to apply abroad and don't want to do JEE anymore.
Right. You are coming back to IOI again, 2021 this year.
Yes,
You
I
have
am.
qualified for it. What's your plan for it? If you're just, I think, a couple of weeks away from the competition, how have you prepared for it? What's your plan? What do you want to take away from IOI 2021? Now that you already
Just
have a silver,
yeah, so just do my best. Just I'm practicing a lot these days, and just hope that I can get a higher silver, or yes, maybe
right?
even gold. But gold is very unlikely. So.
I'm sure nothing is unlikely, for you have already achieved so much. But without divulging too many secrets, because your competitors may also be watching, uh, is there anything extra that you're doing a month ahead or a couple of weeks ahead of IOI?
So my training is different, a little different from what I normally do. So a few changes would be, first of all, I try to implement all the problems I solve. Normally, I don't implement much because of time. Like I don't get much time. But before a month, I try to implement all the problems I solve, so that during the contest I don't have much implementation problems.
Hmm.
And as well as I do, for example, I'm prepping for IOI, so I try to do 5 hour IOI style and IOI environment, like without templates or anything. That type of environment I'll do virtual contests.
Right. Okay. So, if you are you following any particular books right now, or have you?
Not right now.
Okay. So, what were the top? If I asked you to recommend like the best books according to you for competitive programming, uh, what would you say? The top three books according to you?
So I've Um, I think I've not tried that many books.
Right.
I prefer online resources better, but the only reason I had to try these books were because I was in school and we can't use digital devices there. So I tried CP3 by Stephen Halim, and there was a book by Antti Laaksonen. I don't remember the name,
Hmm.
and there's another book, Looking for a Challenge, by some Polish guys. That's a pretty advanced book and it only has
Right.
problems. So yeah, these three books, all three are pretty good.
Right. So I hope anyone who is watching this session right now has noted down the books that Udit had mentioned. These are the pearls of wisdom coming straight from a champion himself. Uh, Let me get back to your family, Udit. Your father is the HOD of the CS department in Punjab Engineering College,
No,
and
he's just no. He was the director
director.
in tech right now, but right now he shifted to another college, JKLU, and he's the director there.
Right. So, would you say that in comparison to regular families, your father had an idea about competitive programming, and that may have guided you or helped you for A in deciding to take a break from JE and take competitive programming, and B to get all sorts of material resources and inspiration from family itself. Do you think it helped in
Uh,
any way?
So he was aware of competitive programming, I think, but he did not know anything about it. As in, he knows
Okay.
what CodeChef and all is, but he does not know as such. So, not I don't think he didn't guide,
Right.
but
Okay.
in some way, I guess it was supportive to come from an academic
Right.
background.
Right. 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 So, Udit, you are one of the most promising competitive programmers in India as well as in the entire global scene. Uh, do you follow other CP players? And if you do, who would be your top three CP players from India and internationally
India,
as well? Yeah.
so India, I guess. Number one, definitely Jatin. He's like really good. Like he comes out of nowhere, solves a div one E or F. So
Right.
he um, and then there are other good players like Hanit is there, Nisha is there, or Kshitij is the upcoming guy because he's just in ninth and he's already an international grandmaster.
Hmm.
And there are a few others, Rahul Dukar. Yeah, there are, oh, and internationally, definitely tourist.
Right.
He consistently wins all the major competitions. Then Bank, I guess Bank, unlike the other top players, Bank has only done CP for 4 or 5 years only, and still
Right.
he got number one rank in core forces, I think.
Right.
And apart from him, Raid Boo, Shamnik, all those.
Right. So, what do you think happens when someone becomes number one by just 4 or 5 years of coding? Because when we do our research, we see that people who go to the top, people who score well, generally have started coding, right from school, like you in your case. For someone to get into that position in just 4 or 5 years, how do you think that person trains, or is there something else that person has?
I mean, there are multiple factors. Like before he started competitive programming, he probably had a good problem solving or maths background,
Right,
and um, he maybe he's just that intelligent. Also, that may affect as well, and he practices a lot. These
right.
would be the main factors.
You are now preparing for JE, aren't you?
No,
How's that?
I'm not. I quit.
Acha, okay. That's a choice that you had made, and I'm sure. I thought you were preparing for your
No,
JE.
I quit after IOI.
Oh, excellent, cool. So now you're primarily focusing on IOI right now, this month's IOI.
Yes, yes.
Excellent, and we are banking a lot on you, to make us proud again. I'm sure you're going to do that. So, Udit, for anyone who is preparing for a big competition ahead, say a person has just 1 month to appear before a big competition, uh, what is the strategy that you would suggest?
Just I mean, general competitive programming practice, and apart from that, just depends on what your competition is. Do contests, virtual contests with those contest conditions. For example, if you're doing ICPC, train in a team of three and
Right,
do 5 hour contest with them, something like that.
right. And
Apart
if I,
from that, it's
yeah.
mostly same for all.
And if I asked you to strip down to just three pieces of advice for any competitive programmer preparing for a major competition, what would
Yes,
they be?
three. First of all, definitely practice.
Right,
Then just because practice hard problems, then like exceed your level. What you shouldn't just solve easy problems.
right.
Uh, yes, and yeah. So I would like to repeat a advice Ray Bush gave in his blog a week or two before. I found to be really good advice. That is, you shouldn't just solve problems for the sake of practicing, but you should not like you should devote a mindset of yours to CP.
Hmm.
Right. As in you should be thinking about the problems as you go,
Right,
not just you say I have to practice 1 hour in 1 week and this I'll do that and that's it. You are doing it basically for the purpose of looking good for
right,
yourself, that
right,
you are practicing something.
right. So I hope everyone who is writing give comments, give tips to Udit Sanghi, noted down the three major tips that Udit is saying. We will be taking all your questions in the live comments very soon, right after we had taken the questions that have been sent to us from the community. I'll suggest that you refrain from commenting right now because your questions may be lost in the feed. So let's just save your questions and keep them coming for later. I'm going to ask you a few questions from the questions that we have got from various code chefers. This is from Rachana Prabhu. Rachana asks, how exactly can I keep consistency in learning? What
um,
would you have to say to that, Udit?
just consistently practice, learn new topics. That's it.
Okay, so there is no, there is no special trick in this, Rachana. As Udit said, just keep learning new topics and practice consistently. Just to sum up what Udit had said. I would go to the next question. This is from Pratyush Goswami. He asks how to approach deeper concepts of any programming language.
So I myself don't know much. So for competitive programming specifically, you don't need much. For example, I don't myself know stuff like pointers, classes that well, and I know only basic programming is enough for doing competitive programming. But in general, just YouTube videos of various channels helps.
Right. So, what are your favorite YouTube videos? What do you refer to?
Um, Not I just go search on YouTube and whichever first search comes up, that's it.
All right. Anyone who is looking for YouTube content, please visit Learn Competitive Programming with CodeChef. We might have Udit Sanghi on it as well, telling you some important
So,
topics.
yeah, so there's a channel named Code with Demoralizer. It's pretty good. So
Demoralizer. Okay, we often get to see Demoralizer on our comment section. I'm not sure if he's here with us today.
yeah, he's there. He
He
asked.
is. Okay. Shout out to Demoralizer from CodeChef and Udit Sanghi. All right, next question. This is from Haneen Hassan. Learning DSA in which language is better, C or Python? Which one is more easy and which one is more effective?
So,
C or Python?
so C is definitely better because it's much faster than Python. I can't say which one is more easy to code in because I haven't really coded any non-trivial data structures in either of those languages. But yes, if for competitive programming, C is preferred because many problems Python, even the best of code will clearly. And if you can do C++ instead of C because you have the added advantage of STL, C++
Right.
STL.
All right. So you would say that C is definitely a better option than Python.
Yes.
All right. So do you think that in companies right now, which language is being used more frequently? Which of the two languages?
I
Like
I mean, I don't know how companies use what how they do things.
the companies like Amazon or Facebook or all the FANG companies that we look at, what do you think is the more prevalent language being used in their infrastructure?
Yeah, I have no idea about that.
All right, no problem. Moving on to the next question, Pratyush Goswami asks, how to approach deeper concept. Oh, we already covered this. Okay. Himanshu Rajan asks, how do you improve your speed?
Speed, um, just I guess speed for speed you should probably solve easier questions. If you, for example, you have to solve diff to a's fast, so you should just solve diff to a's fast, and speed doesn't really matter that much. I think it's just if speed is pretty overrated, you should just I mean normal practice is enough, but it's generally if you solve like easier questions, then your speed will improve relatively more than your skill. So
Right.
uh, maybe that.
Okay. So your advice would be to go for the easier questions first. Not only does it
I
help
mean, no,
you.
I wouldn't recommend that. I would recommend to solve faster questions. But if you still want to focus on the speed only, then solve easier questions.
Okay. Why do you think someone wants to, improve his speed? Because you just said that it is not that important; it is overrated.
Yeah.
But why do you think someone has that concern? How does it help or
There are
for me?
there are some contests where say in a code forces contest, say ABC are very easy and T is really hard, so everyone is stuck on ABC. So I mean after ABC, so the the difference will be just based on the timing. So there you
Right,
will improve. The difference will be based on the speed.
right, right. So, have you ever had a concern with speed yourself, or did you ever consciously work on your speed, or did it happen automatically with practice?
No, I've not consciously worked, but when I was a beginner, I used to solve mostly easier questions, just like that. So that because of that, my speed would be high.
Right. Okay. The next question is from Rohan Veer. He asks, "How did you learn time complexity?"
I don't remember how I learned it. Probably just going through the editorials, and it came a bit naturally. Like ON means some constant time and steps. So there wasn't. I haven't studied this properly, like
Right,
a course or something.
right. Okay. So this is a question from Tejas Kulkarni. He asked, "What resources did you find most helpful when studying for IOI and APIO?" I think this is a question that a lot of people would want
Uh,
answers for.
So, uh, so there are general competitive programming resources which are helpful for API and IOI, but OI specific resources, I would say there is Odge.us, which is a place where you can find a lot of problems to submit the solution or on a variety of sources. And there is OI checklist, which lets you maintain what problems you solved, or OI problems you solved.
Hmm.
And then there are various GitHub repositories. So, for example, most staff GitHub libraries. Some people, so these are some people they maintain the solutions to problems, OI problems in the repositories, and this is really helpful because in OI solutions are mostly not publicly available. So you just
Right.
have to search for something like this.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I hope this answers your question, Tejas. These are the resources, and this is how you get the resources according to Udit. And it's pretty evident that these resources have helped him achieve what he has. I'll go on to the next question. This is from Trisanu Das. He asks, how did you manage your school's courses along with programming?
Um, I did not manage them very well. I would not be a good person to ask this question because whenever I was involved in CP, my school grades were very bad, and whenever I had to study for school, for example, in 10th grade board, I studied a lot for that. So I had to. So that at that time, I didn't do much competitive programming. So just not the good person to ask this.
No, but that's fine. You had your mind set on something else, and you gave your 100% to that. And
Yeah,
yeah,
but I'm not good at managing multiple things at once.
I'm sure that did not, pose a hindrance to what you had to achieve. And I guess it's when your mind is set up on one thing and you can give your entire focus to that. That's what matters.
Yes.
Okay, next question is from Ganesh. How long did you spend, or how long to spend on a question, and best way to analyze the solution? I guess this is also a part of that time management thing during competitions. You sometimes you tend to spend too much on one question and then you run out of time. So, what's your
Um,
take on this?
as in question, as in during contest or during practice.
I think this is during a contest only, because
So,
during practice the time wouldn't be a concern for him.
so just I guess focus on the easier question, which you can. I mean, there are rankings uh, available. So just focus on the easiest question and for the longest time, and if you can't solve it, then move on to the next question, I guess. And for example, in OI, you get the idea of difficulty by the subtask. So if
Hmm.
for the first subtask, the easiest subtask is very low, then probably the problem is pretty difficult, and so on. So, and yeah, that's the it's,
All right. I hope that answers your question, Ganesh. The last question is by Gaurav, and this has been asked already. I myself have asked you this at the beginning of the session, but I'm going to ask you that again, just in case something new comes up apart from the gaming story. Uh, what was the one thing that motivated you the most to start CP?
yeah. So I the when Athar, the guy who told me about IOI, when I heard it from him, so the idea that you would represent India and visit a different country, meet a lot of intelligent people, and maybe get a medal for your country, that was really great. I mean, that felt really great. So
Right.
that motivated me too, and I found the problems really interesting.
Excellent. All right. It's time to take questions from the comments now. The gates have opened. Please pour in your questions. There are a lot of friends of Udit who are here who do not have genuine questions, but they do have some fun questions for Udit. I'm going to take this question from Nahid Rizvi first. Nahid asks, how did you prepare for INMO?
Yes, so INMO I mostly did in my coaching. So my maths teacher, Minal sir, and as well as one of his former former students, which is Shesh Bhaiya, he's graduating from IT Bombay this year, I think. They both mentored me and just solved problems. We
Right.
solved problems together. They would give me problems, and if I couldn't solve them, they would give me hint one by one, and
Okay.
that thing like that.
All right. So you had some help from,
Yes.
yeah. But I guess we can't get too far ahead without a little help. A man cannot be an island, certainly not in competitive programming.
Yes.
Okay, here's a comparatively long question from this guy called Ankit Sahol 15. He's in 11th right now. He's almost your age, and he knows C++, DSA, and some other algorithms as well. He wants a roadmap for now. so that he can see himself in the 2022 IOI Indian team. Uh, and I think you're the right person to
I
answer
mean,
this
one
question.
year is really difficult in just making the team in just 1 year, but still, um, you should first focus on ZCO, ZIO, ZCO, and then INY solve all the previous year questions of it, and then just solve various OI questions or code forces questions, whatever you can solve.
Right. So, according to Udit, 1 year is not really enough time to get
I mean,
into
some
IOI.
people do make it, but first of all, the competition increases like at a really big rate every
Right.
year, as well as uh, it's very rare that people make it. So, for example, Kshitij did make it, but yeah.
Right. Okay. Nikhil Singh asks, do you write your code roughly on paper before implementing it?
No,
That's a
I don't think anyone does that.
all right. That's a clear answer from Udit. He doesn't do that. All right. Abhishek asks, is studying DP as a beginner is any good?
Yeah, uh, I mean, there's no problem with it. I don't think. I mean, very tough to define what is a beginner, but yeah.
Right. So no, I think he wants to ask that is it a good idea to take up BP when he's a beginner, or do you
I
think you
think
should take it
you need
for
to learn some easier topics first. For example, prefix sums or some
right?
things like that, greedy and maybe something like that. So, but
All right. I hope that answers your question, Abhishek. This is a question from username 89 takes, and it's a prevalent question from a lot of people who come from tier 3 colleges. He's in his third year right now, and he wants to land an internship, uh, but he wants some advice from you.
so I've never gotten an internship. I mean, I'm not in college. So.
Right. Udit is too young for that anyway, but is there anything that you think you can suggest him?
I
Uh,
have no clue about this.
maybe his competitive programming profile might help him learn, land an internship. I'm sure you
There
have
are other people should answer this, I think.
okay, but have you yourself received offers from companies for internships?
Yes, I think there are a few.
Right. Okay. Code with Code asks, sir, please give me a roadmap on IOI.
Um, just solve questions.
Sorry.
Just solve questions. There's
Okay.
no roadmap.
Okay, the kind of I think the kind of study material that one should be referring to. What kind of problems should one solve? Is there a strategy to solving a certain kind of problems at a certain stage? It, I mean, if there is any more detail that you can give to that question.
So IOI preferably solve OI style questions more than normal uh, and normal Codeshift code process questions, but uh, otherwise it's mostly the same.
Right. Okay. Okay. Here's a question from Nikhil Singh. He asked, "Did you ever feel burnt out in your preparation?"
Yes, I have lots of times.
So, how does that happen? How many hours of coding do you dedicate yourself to?
That's not fixed. So depends on how much time I'm getting. So these days I have nothing to do, so I'm just preparing for IOI the whole day.
Right. So, so when you say burnt out, does that mean that you're just unable to get over a certain problem, and then nothing is coming to your mind? If you kind of hit a roadblock, what do you generally do?
Um, so I guess just you need to remember to still practice. For example, I think I faced lot. I I have faced this issue lots of times that I feel that I can't improve anymore. But
Right.
it's a good idea to remember that I felt these things earlier also, and I did eventually become improve after that. So
Right.
you can still improve even when you face some roadblocks.
Right. All right. So a lot of questions are pouring in for Udit Sanghi. He is the champion of the moment right now. Uh, he's he's been sharing a lot of his experience and the trip and his tips regarding competitive programming with us. Please let your questions come in. Right now, we are going to pick up this question from Prakash Arora. He asks, "Will solving harder problems that are above my level help me improve faster on code forces?" Is this
Uh,
something that you would recommend, solving problems that are above your level? I'm not sure what
I
he
mean,
actually means by
yeah,
that.
above your level, as in, if you are say 1500 rated, you shouldn't just solve 3000 level questions, but you should solve the type of questions that in the range where you can't say for certain that you will solve them or not solve them. For example,
Right,
if you are 1500 and you will almost not be able to solve say 2500 rated 2500 rated plus questions. So you should, in for example, you're 1500, so you know that your range of solving questions might be 1500 to 1900 or 2000 or something like that.
right.
Yes.
Okay. So this is a question from this is a question from a lot of people who are asking: Is CodeChef good enough for IY preparation? And someone also asked the question: CodeChef questions are hard. Uh, do you think CodeChef questions are hard? And do you think someone should be looking for easier practice questions to practice?
There's a lot of variety in all platforms, so you can
Yeah.
find easy questions as well as hard questions. So yeah, CodeChef good for IOI preparation? um, I mean, it's one of the websites, so I would prefer other websites. Codeforces, ArtCoder more than CodeChef slightly, but yeah, CodeChef is also nice.
Right. What OJ do you use?
Oh, um, yeah, mainly for IOI preparation in specific, I use mostly Oj.us is oj.ez as, and otherwise I prefer my favorite one is Codeforces, then AdCoder, then CodeChef.
All right. So that I hope that answers your question. Uh, okay, we're going to go for the next one. This is from Ankit. Ankit wants to know if you plan to continue competitive programming even in college and become India's first legendary grandmaster.
I definitely do plan to continue in college because since IOI was online, I do want to visit some offline competitions. For example, ACM ICPC World Finals.
Yeah.
So I will be preparing for that. And uh, India's first legendary grandmasters, that's probably not possible. Kshitij will definitely be the first, I think.
Okay, if you had to be the India's first legendary grandmaster, what would your strategy be?
That wouldn't be different from the normal strategy, just practice.
Okay, so there is nothing special about it.
No.
Okay, there's an interesting question from Achiv Chan. He asks, "What should I do when too much coding and don't want to do it anymore?"
Um, I guess you should take a break maybe, or uh, if you don't like coding, you should try something else. Or if you just do and you are think you are doing too much, then
Right,
I think taking a break is the best idea.
right. Does that happen to you? Udit? Do you ever feel like you've just done too much coding?
Yeah, sometimes.
Okay, have you decided on your university?
Yes, so I want to go to NUS, but there might be some problems with travel ban from
Right.
Singapore and all. If there are no problems, then I'll definitely go there. Else, I'll probably go to some college in India, say Triple ITH or something like that.
Okay. Code with Code asks, which is first? I mean, I think he wants to know, okay, what should he do first? First, learn a programming language, or first learn data structures and algorithms? What would be your advice?
Both are fine. So I learned programming first and then DSA, but you can do otherwise also. Like for example, some many match Olympiad folks do this. So some of the DSA are common with combinatorics in match Olympiad. So they basically learn DSA first in a way, and then then they learn programming, and they do pretty well in
Right.
IOI too. So
So,
both are fine.
in what situation would you say it is better to learn DSA first or vice versa?
Both are fine. It does not make much difference, I think.
Okay. Okay. What are some common myths you came across in your preparation? That's an interesting question, actually. If you have any light to shed upon it.
Okay, let me think.
But preparing in a certain way,
I mean, I have definitely, but I can't remember right now. I guess some of the common are just focus on number of problems you solve, or just focus on number of hours you do. Um, yeah, I don't recall some myths,
so
but
you're saying that there are actually no rules regarding the number of hours you need to put in
yeah,
for
yes.
computer programming. What is your general number of hours?
It yeah, it just varies. It's tough to define also because uh, I would maybe say when I'm just traveling in a car, I would be thinking of some problem. So or while going to sleep or something like that. And um, I mean, so depends on how you count that ways, and even if you define that properly, it varies a lot depending on what
Right,
else other things I'm doing.
right. So, what is your favorite time to code? Are you a night owl or do you do it in the
Yeah,
morning?
night definitely.
All right. So, do you get distracted with while coding? I think a lot of people face this problem. They get distracted because there are so many things to get distracted by: social media, games, and everything. I'm sure you do not, because you have achieved a lot, and being distracted does not help with that. But we would love to know, okay, how do you keep yourself from getting distracted?
Yeah, I do definitely get distracted sometimes, and for example, I would start a series and just binge it, and then come back. So that wastes a bit time, but
Right.
just yeah. So that's but I don't know how to control it. I mean, I don't that get distracted that much, but yeah, I do sometimes.
Your good friend Utkarsh Gupta has a lot of nice things to say about you. Do you want to, do you have any message for him right now?
Uh,
Okay, moving on to the next question. Akash Amin asks, how much time should be spent to get a grip on problem solving? I think it comes back to the same question over and over again, and I think more and more people want to know this. Uh, how much time should one spend on one particular problem, or problem solving as a whole, generally?
I think you should solve a problem till you feel like that you cannot think anymore on that problem. So it could be a say 10 minutes, it could be a few hours or something like that. And also when uh, seeing the editorial, I would recommend to see like when you're reading, preferably if you have hints, then that's better. But just read the editorial till the point you feel that you gain some new information or new
Right,
observation, and keep thinking on that.
right. Udit, tell me, how long did it take you to become a six-star coder on CodeShift? And did you start coding with the idea of becoming a six-star coder, or it just happened and you did not pay much attention to it, or were you
So
actually aiming? Yeah,
um, I you can I don't remember how much time it took me for reaching 6 star, but you can see my CodeChef profile like this. And but the time I had started, there was no concept of 4 star, 5 star, 6 star.
right,
So
right.
there was no such dream
Yeah.
to become.
So, okay, Roman
I
Dave
mean,
asked.
there was,
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, in code forces, yeah, I have like an aim that I want to become red or something like that. But CodeChef, not really.
Right.
I mean, ratings are also a bit weird. Anyone can get from long challenges or something
Right.
like that.
Right. 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 Roman Dave asked, "Where do you practice classical problems from?"
Uh, what do you mean by classical problems? As in, if you're talking about, say, standard implementation, uh, like say segmentary implementations, or just other data structures or standard algorithms, then I think many problems are available on Spot,
Mhm.
and or you will mostly find under a tutorial the stand problems where you can practice that concept from.
Right. Okay. Classical problems. He just clarified. He meant algos,
Yeah,
as in yeah. Okay. Aditya Sharma asked, "What's your Code Forces profile?"
um, you can see the my profile. How doesn't make much sense.
Okay. Uh, does learning linked lists come in handy in competitive programming? This is a
No,
question from Nikhil Singh.
I've never used it.
Okay. So that's the clear answer from Udit. He hasn't used it. So if you want his advice, then maybe. All right. Okay. Aman asks, "I'm not able to solve even easy DP problems. I have solved interview level questions of it, but never been able to solve any DP questions in the contests. Any tips from your side?"
First of all, you should absorb the questions you weren't able to solve in contests. You can see the solution and then solve it, and just solve, practice. Say, if you think your DP is weak, then just say put a tag on code forces DP tag and solve just DP questions.
Right. All right. That's the tip that you were looking for, Aman. I hope that helps you just absolve and keep practicing. Uh, Udit, while we wait for better questions, what has been your favorite contest on CodeShip? Is it long challenge or
Um,
perform for lunchtime?
as in among these three or in specific?
On CodeShip, yes. Among these three. Now we have starters as well. I'm not sure if you have
So
participated.
I don't like longs. I mean, they're good for beginners, I feel, but they're good in learning new techniques. But I think they're the for problems in Dev 1 are just bit implementation heavy and not that much fun to solve. I mean, it's not like I can solve every problem. It's not they're not hard, but they're a bit boring. And so I prefer cook-offs and lunchtimes because of
Right,
that. And between those two, they are depend on contest to contest. Both are equally good.
right, right. Okay, we have another question. This one asks, if I encounter a concept I don't know, how deep should I get to learn it?
You should practice. I think you should practice a concept. I mean, for example, you could put a tag of that concept and solve a few problems of that. And apart from that, just do regular problem solving, because um, if you just solve a concept, keep solving problems by concept, that
Right,
gives away sort of idea of the problem. So just
right.
as long as you feel comfortable with the topic, till that point you should practice that concept. But beyond that, you just solve normally.
So, what were the topics that you may have faced a lot of difficulty grasping in your
Yeah,
journey?
segmentary lazy propagation, definitely. I found the idea of recursive segmentary very difficult. So I faced problems in segmentary lazy propagation and persistence and things like that. Even today, like if I write recursive segmentary code, I always have some bugs.
Right. And how did you go about it?
Just solving a lot of, say, classical segmentaries problem to practice implementation. I mean, I had the idea, that wasn't an issue. Just implementing that was a bit of a problem.
Right. Okay. Uh, this is a question from Rafat. We had covered this before, but since a lot of people have this doubt. I'm going to ask it again. Is it necessary that your math should be really strong to become a competitive programmer? I
No.
know that you do not feel that it should be, but just to give Rafat the confidence that he needs, if you could just explain why it is not that important.
So there are many people, uh, there are many famous competitive programmers. I do not recall which ones, but they write that they don't like maths and still are doing pretty well. Maths, I mean, the problem solving aspect of maths definitely helps. Though, since,
Right,
for example, in India's team this year, all of the top four are IMOTC people. So,
right,
maths
right,
Olympiad camp.
right. Okay, we have a question from Nikhil Singh. He asks, how do you get used to the habit of using new data structures or algos instead of basic stuff?
I mean, just by practicing a lot of problems till you get the hang of the data structure, and then once you start getting ACs and contests using that data structure, you even get more confidence.
So, do you also recommend that one should train in different kinds of data structures
Yes.
and not just rely on a particular kind?
No, I mean, if you can solve by one data structure, that's no issue. But there may be some problems that require you to have that knowledge of the other data structure.
Hmm,
So if that's the case, then you should practice the other data structures as well.
right. Um, okay, Nikhil Singh has another interesting question. What is the degree of competition in IOTC? I think what he means is that I think the best from the country comes to this competition uh, from all across. So he wants, I think he wants to get an idea about the, how edgy the contest may get, the kind of competitors that you have to be fighting against.
Yeah, there are pretty good competitors. For example, there's an IMO gold medalist in there, and there are three reds on code forces which were there, and so there are pretty good people
All
in the
right.
contest.
So, Udit, you have had such a marvelous journey. Is there something that you would want to share with your, audience or with your friends or even younger coders that who are looking up to you? If there is one thing that you have realized in this journey, what would that be? About competitive programming, of course, or life.
Uh, Nothing off the top of my head.
All right.
Just, I can't really think of anything right now.
So Udit has absolutely nothing to tell us about, but I'm sure his existence as a competitive programmer is a message itself, is an inspiration to a lot of people already. We are just a couple of minutes away. We just have 2 minutes to end this session. Is there, if there is any other question from you guys, please do. Okay, Israr basically asked your prediction for India's performance at IOI 2021.
My prediction.
Our prediction is Udit brings the gold, but
That's difficult, but I would predict I think three silver and one bronze. So last year we had two silver, two bronze. We probably this year three silver, one bronze. There's a chance for gold as well this year. I mean, after a long time, there's a chance at least. For example, I think Shitich might get gold, but
okay. So three silvers, one bronze.
that would be my prediction, I guess.
Okay, so one of them Udit is getting, and then we'll see about the rest. And if there is a gold, then according to Udit, Kshitij might get a gold,
Yes.
or it could be Udit himself. All right, last question from Rafat. How many years did it take for you to reach this level?
Uh, Five, almost five.
5 years is not. I mean, it's not too long or not too short anyway. I'm sure there has been a lot of struggle and hard work and dedication in these 5 years. So Udit might just casually say 5 years, but 5 years mean it's packed with a lot of hard work. If I'm not wrong, Udit. Uh, Thank you so much, Udit, for joining us at WWC this week. It has been an interesting conversation with you. I'm sure you will do amazing at 2021 IOI and your further aspirations. Continue to make India proud and the entire coders community proud. We would love to end it with a last message from you. Any advice for coders and end the session?
Just keep practicing much.
All right,
Keep
that's a short.
practicing bugaboos, I guess. That's just an internet.
Keep practicing, guys. That's all we have for you today on Weekends with Champions. Thank you so much. Join us again. Thank you so much, Udit, for joining us.
Okay, no problem. Thank
Yep.
you.